Okay. Just wanted to invite you all to Jerk's Corner. We're here talking today with Jeff Sherrod. We're here to talk with Ali Goulet.
Hey.
And we just wanted to sit down and chat about some of the things that they find in their business that that might be interesting to all of you. Jeff, you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, a bicycle fitter. Been fitting for about 12 years now, and really kicked it into gear just this past year, doing it full time, and used the Retool system and fit mountain bikes, road bikes, time trial, triathlon, and it's a little more, when people think about a bike fit, sometimes they get the free one at the bike shop and they put some rulers on there and send them out the door to make sure the size is right. And
that's what we do here a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, it's I guess to get them on their bike and get them on their way, it's a good start. But I definitely take it to a whole other level where when the rider comes in, we actually look at strength and flexibility of the rider, measurement of legs and arms, and we actually look at muscle length and things like that, just to make sure that when we go through the fit, we're actually fitting their bike to their personal needs and their strengths and their weaknesses. So It's a little more in depth than that.
What's the name of your shop? What do you call it?
Precision Bike Fit.
Precision Bike Fit. Okay. So, like, what kind of clients do you see? Do you see people that are really into the sport? I mean, do you see people that have really expensive bikes or not so expensive? I mean, who do you see?
Well, I work with some pro athletes, but that's such a small part of my clientele. The majority of my clientele are really your weekend warriors, and I probably see more women, mothers, that want to do triathlons and are riding in groups, or they want to do their first century. Probably see more of those than anything else, but it's pretty much just anybody that doesn't want to hurt on their bike anymore, and then the ones that want to get some more efficiency out of their bike.
Yeah. It's been my experience that if you're not comfortable on your bike, you don't ride it. We see a lot of customers coming in here, their bikes are covered with dust, and the reason they haven't been riding is because it's uncomfortable for them to ride it. So you can help them with that.
Yeah, and I get a lot of times where they come in and they think that a lot of that stuff is normal for cycling. My hands go numb, but that's normal. I hear people say that all the time. It's just like, that's not normal. Your feet going numb, your back hurting, it's not normal. That can be taken care of.
Okay, that's not normal. If your feet are going numb, that is not normal. If your hands are going numb, that is not normal. Okay, well, so what would you do? I mean, how would you fix something like that? I mean, somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm not comfortable on my bike. My hands are numb. My bum is numb. I mean, I get that a lot. I hear that. So what do you do when they have that kind of problem?
Well, when I start a fit with somebody, I actually have there's a whole interview part of it where we just talk about what their problems are. Talk about what's going on, then we'll look at what may be causing that, and then in the course of the fit, it's when somebody comes in and say my hands are going numb or my feet are going numb, usually I know what's causing it, but it's not always just a simple fix. Sometimes it is the process of going through the whole fit and finding out what's going on and making the adjustments, and when you make one adjustment on the bike, it affects something else, so you have to be careful, not just looking right at the problem and going, I can fix that. There may be something else causing it, and that's why we spend the time checking their flexibility and their weaknesses, and take what they tell me they're struggling with, and we can usually figure it out.
Oh, great. I had I was fit on my bike by Jeff, and I was having a problem with my left calf cramping, and I couldn't figure out what the deal was. I was like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? I was having other problems too. And we ended up finding out that my femur was longer on my right leg than it is on my left leg, by a good amount, by 3/4 of an inch. And so that was causing some problems with me, and of course, I didn't know what to do about that. When I saw you about that, it was taken care of. I don't have that issue anymore. So I'm sure there's other people out there that have those types of issues. I had a guy
cramping things that a lot of times people say, well, I'm cramping, and they think it's a nutrition, or they think sometimes it is. I mean, but in a case like yours, we found out that it didn't matter how much you drank water the day before or what the nutrition was, it wasn't going to fix it. So.
Yeah, it didn't matter what I did. It seemed like I was always having that about, halfway to my ride, 50 miles or so, I'd get that cramp, and it was miserable. Especially, we did Seattle to Portland, and I was miserable almost the entire time because of that. So You don't run into any of that kind of stuff and seeing any of that kind of stuff with your people, do you?
Well, I mean, fits are a big thing, and I definitely see people getting fits for a lot of different reasons, whether it's pain or performance. Sometimes you can become more efficient through a fit. In the work I do, I don't see as much of it. I hear people talking about it. Definitely encourage people to get fits when they get on high end bikes that block the airs. So it's super prevalent.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, beyond fixing pains, what else are fits good for?
Oh, the other real big benefit, obviously, is the efficiency side. I think probably the biggest thing that I deal with is there's a lot of things that can cause efficiency, but a lot of people actually are choking off quite a bit of their efficiency in their pedal stroke and their power, I guess you could say. So there's like this, somebody will flip through a magazine or watch the Tour de France and they'll see this cyclist and they think that they need to be really aero and they'll turn their stem over and drop everything down to get into that position. And when they come see me, I find out that they're actually closing their hips off too much and they actually can't get an efficient pedal stroke. So the other big thing is the efficiency, where somebody will come see me and we'll make some adjustments as simple as a seat height and adjust everything else so that they don't have any numbness, but then they go off and they do their training rides. And I have one athlete that I work with that trains with power. And he called me a couple of days later. He's like, I'm amazed at my increase in power just within 3 days. Mm. And my times are dropping on some of my training rides and things like that just from, and with him, we had been working on quite a few things, but it was a new bike and we just made minor adjustments. And immediately, we noticed a big difference. So efficiency is a huge part of it too.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be more efficient on their bike? I know I do for sure. As far as like how long would something like that take? If somebody were to come in and see you, how long would a fit on their bike take? How long would that be?
The average one runs about an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
So you can expect an hour and a half to 2 hours depending on the bicycle we're doing. So road bikes are a little less technical than doing a triathlon fit or a TT, like a time trial fit. Mm-hmm. So usually they'll stick around an hour and a half, but time trial and triathlon, they can be a little closer to 2 hours.
Cool. And so that's something, all of these things we're talking about is something that is probably worth coming to see you for. How much would something like that cost?
The Retool fits, I've got a couple of different fits that I do, but the Retool, the one that most people are coming to me to see, they range about $299 for a fit.
Okay.
And this, when you talk about the fitting and what you can get from it, the interesting thing is that this is the season for fitting, is the winter. Most people want to come see me and get fit right before an event or something like that, and it could take easily a month to get used to the adjustments if we make major ones. Yeah. And I'm constantly telling people, don't come see me like 2 days before you go do load jet. Yeah. It just doesn't work. Yeah. You don't want to do a race or a big event, so people are on their trainers in their basements right now in the winter spinning. Yeah. This is the best time to do it because we can make those adjustments, make you more efficient, take the pain away, but yet you can train during the winter and become more efficient at that fit and those adjustments.
Oh, that's great. So do you have different, is there different prices for fitting people on? If you're fitting somebody on an expensive TT bike, is it more money for that or is it less money or how does that work?
No, fit costs the same. We're doing the same thing generally, regardless of the bike. There are things that I'm going to be doing different as a fitter just because of the different bikes and the nature of what you're doing on that bicycle, but the fit is the same. And that's with a Retool fit. Now, when I mentioned that I have different things that I do, the biggest thing that I run into is people will come in and they'll bring me a bicycle that they purchased that is the wrong size for whatever reason. And so that's something that I'm constantly trying to clean up with people. And sometimes it's just a case where we cannot fit the person to that bike. It's just like this is either way too big or way too small. So I have a service that I actually offer people where they can come in. It takes maybe 5-10 minutes, and we measure their body, figure out what they need to be on, what bike size, what stem, what bar, so they can come to a bike shop and they can say, okay, I've been looking at this bike, and we go on the website and say, okay, this is what you need. You can walk right into the bike shop and pick the perfect bike and know it's going to work for you. And I only charge $25 or something like that.
Oh, that's great.
Now, if they come back and they want to get fit, we just put the $25 towards their fit.
Mm-hmm.
I also have another service where if somebody is pretty comfortable and pretty okay with their bike and pretty knowledgeable on how things are, and they don't want to go spend the whole $299 on a fit, I've got a cleat adjustment and seat adjustment fit, and $75 for one of those.
Wow, $25. That's, I mean, to know the bike and have the right bike size and make sure that you're getting on the right bike. That's worth $25 right there in itself.
Definitely,
for sure. Instead, I see people come and spend a lot of money on bicycles, and sometimes they just know what they want, and that's what you're going to sell them because they know what they want. So you're going to sell that to them. But a lot of times, I think that'd be wise to come in and see you and get that fit first.
Yeah.
And find out they get the right bike.
And a problem that happens a lot too that I see is that somebody will say, okay, I've been on a 56 centimeter road bike my whole life. But when you switch from manufacturer to manufacturer to manufacturer, everybody's 56 is different.
Right.
Sometimes that that 56 in somebody's brand doesn't work as well as maybe the 54 would, or so it gets tricky.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Ollie, now that we're talking about bikes a little bit, tell us a little bit about some of the bikes that you have and some of the things that we can expect to see coming up this year, 2014. We've got some new bikes out there.
Yeah.
What kind of things can we expect for the 2014 year?
Well, so, I've got this brand, LaPierre, which is new to North America, and this spring, or even now, really is when bikes are starting to come into inventory here in North America, into shops. And it's a pretty exciting brand. They've got a deep road history, 67 years now in business. They're out of the Dijon region of France. So the road bikes are, very high end. There's endurance and of course racing versions of these road bikes, and their mountain bikes as well are trending right now, super hot. They have this EI suspension technology, stands for electronic intelligence, and the EI uses a bunch of different sensors, but essentially what it does is it controls the pro pedal switch on your shock. So for a mountain biker, suspension has been coming around for years. We had the flex stems, and then we had rock shocks, and then then we want to put a control on the rock shock to lock it out, and then we have dropper posts and all these evolutions of suspension. So now this is that next level of evolution where the bike is now controlling the pro pedal switch based on the terrain. So it's pretty cool technology, and it's LaPierre's proprietary technology. Wow. So you can only get it on a LaPierre.
So is that technology on the shock itself, or is that how does that come into play?
Yeah, so we partnered with RockShox, and so it comes on a Monarch, and RockShox has modified the Monarch to allow for a servo unit that mounts on the top of that RockShox shock and controls that pro pedal switch. So the internals are not proprietary, so it can be serviced as usual, but it just does allow for that servo unit, and then the servo unit takes the information from a speedo sensor on the front wheel, cadence sensor in the bottom bracket, and an accelerometer that's on the fork.
Wow, I don't know what he just said, but that was very interesting.
See, he said speedo in there.
Yeah.
Something happened. Somebody's wearing a speedo.
It sounds very technical, but what it boils down to is really just putting that shock in the proper position so you have the most efficiency. And yeah, we've had pro pedal switches on shocks for a long time, and you can reach down there and you can fiddle with it.
Yeah.
But what you can't do is, when you're ripping down a rock garden and then straight into an uphill, you don't really have the time to reach down and make those adjustments. And so now it's doing that for you. And so when you're up on the pedals, you've always got that premium pedaling performance. And then when you're running stuff over, it's always ready for you.
Does it serve a latte or anything like that while we're going? Or
it doesn't do anything quite that fancy. Maybe next year.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe next year.
I've ridden one of those, and I gotta be honest, I've never really liked lockout and brain technology and that kind of junk. And went and rode it, and I didn't even know it was there. It just was.
It just happened.
It just happened. The suspension was really fluid, and I didn't have to think about it. I was a little skeptical at first, but after riding it, I even talked to Ali about looking at getting one next year because I was pretty impressed with it. So.
I know I'm going to be on one for sure. Tell me a little bit about the road bikes that you've got too. Raleigh and LaPierre.
Well, so I'll start with the LaPierre stuff since we're on the subject of that. But The LaPierre bikes this year, we've got two models. There's a Sensium and a Zelius. The Sensium is endurance geometry, so kind of standard endurance geometry, shorter top tube, taller head tube, and a little bit more compliant ride. But it's a full carbon bike, so it features monocoque front triangle, tube to tube rear triangle. And if you're into bike construction, that stuff means something to you. If you're not, basically you can boil it down to being able to tailor the ride of that frame just to be both performance and supple.
Okay.
On the Zelius side, which is a race frame, it's a full monocoque construction, so frame is created in one process, but it is two different layups of very high modulus fibers through basically the head tube, down tube, bottom bracket, and chain stays. And then the seat stays, top tube, and seat tube are high resistance fibers, so you get the really great stiffness and performance through the bottom half of the bike and a little more compliance through the top of the bike. So a really well thought out bike, and they ride really well. There's something about a European bike that's just a little bit different than, you look at these other great manufacturers that we have that make these really light bikes. European bikes maybe aren't quite as light. They're right in there, but they have that extra material in all the right places that gives that great quality ride.
Yeah. I rode one last year. I rode the Team, and just the way that it handled. My other bike was a little bit lazy. This one just seemed to dive into the corners and it was so rigid that I could just climb on. It felt like it was connected to the bike.
Yeah, they're very, what would I say, easy to adapt to, which is what I like in a bike. When you can get on a new bike and it's not something that you have to adjust to and get used to, when it just rides well and it feels like it's been your bike for a long time, that's a good thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what these bikes are, for sure.
Sure. Thanks for that. Tell us a little bit about the Raleigh road bikes. I know that's probably, I'm looking at that this year, possibly going to be on that. So tell me a little bit about that.
So Raleigh, Raleigh's a little bit of a sleeper when it comes to carbon. Not really known for carbon as far as in the general eye, but Raleigh's been doing carbon for a very long time. So they've got a lot of experience. The road bikes use what we call a direct connect technology, where all of the carbon tubes they're mitered just right and joined such that it's very, very smooth joining and very limited excess materials. So it leads to a really lightweight bike that's also super well tuned to be very performance. So like in the Militis, for instance, the race bike, direct connect technology and a monocoque head tube, down tube, and BB and chain stays. So almost similar to the approach of a LaPierre, you get that great stiffness from the lower half of the bike that really creates a performance, and then more suppleness up top. But that Militis is a definite race rig, very performance, and every pedal stroke just sends you straight forward.
Very cool.
Yeah.
They're good looking too. I like some of the color schemes they've done. I know that's important too. You
got to have a good looking bike.
It's got to be good looking. Yeah, especially on a road bike. As far as some of the bikes that you've seen out there that are coming up for 2014, I mean, I look at the prices of them and I just think, man, these are getting so expensive. There's so much money involved here. What's a good price point bike that somebody could get into and say, well, I just want to get into the sport. I want to try it out. Maybe this is their first bike. What's something they should be looking at?
Well, on the Raleigh side, we've got a lot of great models, whether it's road or mountain bikes you're looking to get into. On the mountain side, we have 27.5 wheeled hardtails that are super on trend in that 27.5 is the newest wheel size.
Now, what do you think? Do you think 27.5 is just going to take over 26? It's going to be kind of shut it out completely? Because that's kind of what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, it's taking over a lot of that middle area.
Yeah.
Your very, very entry price point bikes are going to remain probably 26. I think full-on downhill and dirt jump bikes are going to remain still available in mostly 26. That middle trail portion of bikes and a lot of other bikes like our Tokels and our EVA 6.5 series bikes on the Raleigh side, those are bikes that go from $500 to $1,100 retail. So that's sort of a very, what you might call an entry price point, but it doesn't really cost the manufacturers more to offer a bike in a 27.5 wheel size. The tires are available, the rims are available, forks are available. So you're going to start to see that middle range of bike offerings on the mountain side being 27.5 for sure. And there's plenty of advantages. I mean, You've got the little bit of rolling advantage over 26 and angle of attack as far as that slightly bigger wheel. It's not as much as you'd have in a 29er, but it offers a great ride that has playfulness similar to a 26.
Yeah.
So, for some, the 29er is the end all, and for others, they want a little more maneuverability that 27.5 offers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, I'll ask you this too, what do you think, 27.5, do you think that's just, is that just something else that the companies have come up to sell us some new product? I mean, is that a gimmick? I mean, or is there something there?
I don't think there's a gimmick there at all. I'm a 29 rider myself, but I've also ridden some bike manufacturers out there that maybe haven't quite figured the geometry out. So 29ers may be a little sluggish, great for your cross-country hardtail. And, it's like Wally said, it's more playful. 27.5 is, there's no adapting to it. You get on the bike, it feels like a 26 with all the advantage of, again, rolling over stuff easier. And once you get the wheel up to momentum, those types of things. And I've definitely noticed the difference. I love my 29er, but I'm used to it.
Yeah. Man, I see 27.5 being good as well for people like me that are a little bit vertically challenged. So while I can get a 29er that
not on your bike, vertically challenged.
Really not on the bike, but there are 29ers out there that rip and are playful. But the biggest problem I have is that just because of the size of the wheel, the head tube ends up being this high, and so my handlebars end up being this high, but my seat only ends up being this high. And so to get the right ratios and to get the fit that I want that maybe doesn't look goofy, it is tricky for me.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have. I need a little bit more height, and also for someone again my size with a 29er, you end up sitting in the wheels, and the wheels are kind of up here. 27.5, it just brings you up over the wheels a little bit more, which is actually a good place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the women that are into cycling, the 27.5 is the perfect bike for them, because they've run into that issue before, especially with the top tube length and all of those issues you run into with a 29 being stretched out a little bit. A 27.5 is the perfect girl bike. It's the perfect size for it.
Don't call it that.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to not.
I was trying not to say. I said girl,
the perfect girl bike.
What I mean is,
There are plenty of women that are very tall and women that are short.
respectfully so.
all
I
shapes
think
and
that's a
sizes.
very good bike for women. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to even get into. Oh, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble for that already. I'm online and I've said girl bike. Sorry about that. I don't mean to say you're riding a girl bike either.
Just because I ride a small 27.5,
Right.
extra small.
Yeah. And where do I get one of those? Because that's I'm
you're
vertically
not
challenged
You're not
on
much more
girls'
than a few
bike.
centimeters
That's right.
taller than myself.
And does it come in pink? That's all I want to know. All right.
Jeez.
So back on subject. What were we talking about anyway? I don't even remember.
27.5.
27.5.
27.5.
Yeah. What bike? You were saying what bike should people look for or what dollar range do you need to spend to get into an entry level bike?
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, I get people come in here all the time asking for something. What can I get into? What's the how can I get into this sport? I'm excited. I see it on TV. How do I get into the sport of cycling? But I don't have an endless pocketbook. So what do I buy?
Well, so again, going back to the mountain bikes in the Raleigh lineup, I would suggest something in that Tokol or Eva range, the 27.5 wheel, somewhere between $500 and $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, I mean, for the biggest problem I think a new rider has is how much am I going to like it, and so how much should I commit up front? Because when you don't commit many dollars up front, you get a bike that'll get you going for a while, and then if you like it, you become enthusiastic and you soon overrun the capabilities of your bike and what you desire. Then again, before you know whether you're going to be excited, it's hard to plunk down a bunch of money and say, this is going to be the thing for me. So, I mean, I recommend getting in that sort of middle range that accomplishes your goals and allows you to see whether you're going to really enjoy it or not. And then from there, you just sort of have to take it as it goes. It's rare that you have that new rider that comes in. It's like, I know I'm going to want to rip trail, so I need XT and I need 150 mil travel, and I need to be in at this minimum $2,000 or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, bikes are so much fun. You can start on a great hardtail on a mountain bike, or on the Raleigh side on road bikes. We have Ravinios that come in at $700 retail. You can get out on a real road bike and get out there and going for less than $1,000. It's a great place to start. Of course, if you think you're going to like it a little bit more, the thing I like about the Lapierre is that you can get into a Zelius or a Sensium for Sensium's down into $1,800 and Zelius at $2,500, but you get that high quality frame at that price point. So if you found that you really enjoyed it, you could upgrade the componentry where normally the entry level bike has to be scrapped and a new bike has to be bought to upgrade.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
If
you get that mindset.
Yeah.
You get that top tier frame, so it's like, oh, all of a sudden I love it. Now I can add the top tier wheels, and
that never happens. Nobody ever wants to upgrade their bike.
Right.
Not
until the first week anyway.
That's what you do. You just buy a new one.
I just buy a new one.
Yeah. Why do you do that? How can you buy a new bike every year? Just curious. Because I can.
Because my wife lets me.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, the advantage of doing that though is that you don't make money in bikes. I mean, there's automatic depreciation in it. I mean, it just happens. I don't buy them to make money on them. I don't buy them to ride them and enjoy them. Yeah. And I'm a sucker for when the new stuff comes out, and if I like it, and I'm driven by a couple things we talked about tonight. I'm driven by color. Yeah. But ultimately it comes down to the quality of the bike, how it rides and that kind of stuff. But if I can buy a new bike every year, I literally lessen the amount of money that I'm going to lose on the bicycle because I can turn it over, the product's still hot, and then I go buy a new bike.
Yeah.
I can't sell the thing for what I'm going to buy the new bike for. I know that.
Yeah. But
at least I'm going to cut that loss in half by selling it immediately, and then I go buy the new stuff, and I've always got current stuff and enjoy it. And cycling for me is a great therapy. Cuts down my hospital bills.
Yeah.
Because I'm not
unless you crash.
Depends on what you're going to see the doctor for. But I'm healthy. Golf is expensive.
Golf is expensive.
That's an old man sport as far as
I read an article about golf innovation and bicycle innovation. It was an article, I don't even remember what it was, but they say that innovation in golf and cycling is almost parallel, that there's so much innovation in golf and so much innovation in cycling. You're always seeing new stuff come out in cycling. You're always seeing new stuff coming out in golf. There's rarely any other sport that's out there that has that much innovation that's going on. So I'm with you. I want to buy a bike every year because there's so much new stuff coming out, and there's cool stuff coming out that's helping your performance.
Plus, the other thing too, when I'm out cycling, everybody seems to be enjoying themselves. When I go golfing, all the guys are doing is swearing and yelling,
and wearing really ugly pants.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I don't want to do that either.
But you don't have to pay for green fees. You don't have to pay for a subscription to something, or if you don't want to, you just go get on your bicycle and go ride out the back. I mean, right out your door here in Utah. I mean, we have everything: mountain biking, road cycling.
That brings up an interesting topic. I've heard that there are other states. We're here in Utah, but I've heard that there are other states that charge to go mountain biking on their biking trails. There's a trail fee. Do you think that's something that's going to come around here? I hope not. Yeah, I hope not as well.
You never know, though.
Yeah. Have you heard of that? Yeah. There are other states, if you want to go and ride on that trail, there's a trail fee. And it's, the fees are used in good purpose. They're to maintain the trails, which is good. But, can you imagine having to go to the trail and pay a trail fee?
So that's why we need to continue to volunteer our time to work on trails and not ride them when they're muddy.
Right.
Yeah. That is the biggest pet trail when it's muddy.
Yeah.
And go volunteer when you know that they're working on the trails.
Yeah.
And go do some trail maintenance, and then we'll avoid that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Every once in a while, somebody comes in and they've just been on the trail when it's all muddy this time of year, and you're just, wow, how do they don't understand that that's going to ruin the trails.
Just wait till the snow falls, and then you go ride on the snow.
On top of the snow with a fat bike.
With a fat bike.
Yeah. I have it on good authority that you're buying a fat bike. Does your wife know about that, so we can talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'll tell
if
her.
not, too late now.
She'll never see this online.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
But she'll have to know about
this is a men-only forum. We can't. No, that's not true.
Yeah, fat bike. It's good stuff.
Yeah. I've seen some of your stuff in the winter. What do you need a fat bike for? You've done just fine.
Variable conditions. Yeah, I can ride my bike in any good snow conditions, but when there's frequent snows, then you need that fat bike for softer snow and that sort of thing. When it's well packed down. Yeah,
I don't really mean what do you need another bike for, because
well, everyone knows you need a new bike.
Well,
you always need a new.
We know the equation that how many bikes you need is n+1. Everybody knows that, right? So whatever currently you have now, however many bikes you have, plus one is the equation for that. We know that. Well, I just want to thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Ollie.
Thanks for having us in Jerk's Corner.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for coming to Jerk's Corner. We're ringing out.